Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Hi, Mr. Morgan. So you was in that class?
Where do you think he was?
Watching
Mr. Mark? You think he was watching Mr. Mark this morning?
Was he? No, he wasn't.
I think he was
All
too.
right.
But bye.
You tell him bye? Say have a good week.
Bye. Where did you go, Mr. Marty?
Oh, he can't answer you. It's a computer. He'll answer you when you see him next time at church.
It's quiet.
Bye.
Good, please. Hello. Bye.
All right. Today we're going to continue our devotionals about women, and today we're talking about the whispering woman. And when I read this, I was like, oh, okay, the whispering woman. But then their word for whispering that they're using today is gossiping. Then it all kind of fit in. So when I say whispering woman, I am talking about a gossiper, a slanderer, and we'll get into that in a minute. But that is who the whispering woman is, and we do not want to be the whispering woman. Gossip happens. Slander slips. There's busybodies who meddle, and there's scorners who scorn. That's part of life. You're gonna have those. You're gonna have them. The problem is, or not the problem, what we should be is make sure we are not one of these. If we gossip, if we slander, if we meddle, if we scorn, or if we're a busybody, we are this whispering woman. And God does not want us to be this woman. And he tells us several times in Proverbs about this woman. Proverbs 10:18, this woman is a fool. Proverbs 11:22, she is indiscreet. Proverbs 20:19, she is to be avoided. Proverbs 10:18, gossip is hated. Gossip hides hatred. She stores up bitterness and hatred. Proverbs 11:13, she's a talebearer, reveals secrets, but he who is a faithful spirit conceals a matter. This woman seeks out the faults of others. All bad things. All things, when I read this list, is not what I would want somebody to do to me. I would not want someone to talk about me, to, when it happens in that moment, you think, oh, my life is ruined. So for that point, you don't want someone ruining your life. You don't want to be the talk of the town. But the worst part of being the talk of the town is the person doing the talking. We do not want to be that person who is seeking out others in pure hatred. And as I was reading this, they said some of the hatred may come from jealousy. It may come from just a bad attitude, having a bad day. Somebody is not happy with something. So that's when the gossip starts. Or when you're going through a trying time, when you're going through something pretty heavy, and someone else has something just slightly worse than you, you want the attention off of you, and you want it on them. So you will start talking, you will start gossiping, slandering, doing all this to get the attention off you. And we've got to be really careful. We don't want to do that. We do not want to be the fool. We don't want to be the one who's avoided. As Christians, we should be the ones who are approachable. We should be the ones who are to be friends, trusting friends, friends that will stay, what you say stays with you, friends that are willing to help. We should not be stirring up or storing up bitterness and hatred. We do not want to be this whispering woman. There's a quote that I found from William Blake, and it says, a truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. The truth that's told with bad intent, with truth being told for the purpose of harming others, for the purpose to get back at somebody, beats all the lies. All the lies. Now think about that. That's a pretty strong thing. Pretty strong thing. Ephesians 4:29 tells us what we should do with our speech. Only use edifying, grace-building speech. Edifying, build up, positive, make people feel good. Romans 14:12. Each one of us has to give an account of ourselves to God, and that's what plays into this. We can be the whispering woman. We can be the gossiper. We can be the meddler. We can be all these bad things that we're warned about in Proverbs not to be. But guess what? you still have to stand before God. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a whole lot easier to stand before God, not being the whispering woman, than being the whispering woman. You do not want to get up there and on Judgment Day be accused of being a gossiper, being accused of storing up hatred and being bitter. You want that praise of you had encouraging speech and edifying speech. We're all held accountable. So that's when we started this devotional, and we said we don't want to be the woman gossiping. We don't. We're in charge of that, and that's what we have to stand before God. So we have this. We know it's everyday life. There's always someone out there gossiping. There's always someone out there that is trying to get at you, trying to bring you down, not being the Christian they should be. So how do we handle this? How do we handle it? Someone comes to you with a problem, and we all know these next 3 verses that I'm about ready to tell you about what it does or how to handle a problem according to the Bible. But how do we handle it without turning into a whispering woman? How do we handle someone comes to you, there's a situation, there's a problem. How do you handle it without turning it into gossip? Without turning into the Fulton News, the whatever you want to call it. Well, how do you do that? Matthew 18:15 says, you personally, the one who you have a fault with, you go to that person and you handle it. Just you and him alone. Don't go tell everybody in the neighborhood about it. Don't go, telling all of that, getting everybody all riled up and on your side. You go to them alone. And we've got a little situation going on at our house right now. And I could have went and created a big stink around the neighborhood, but I have to go to this person alone. Now, is it going to work? No. I'm pretty sure they're not going to solve the problem, so we will have to get someone else involved. Which leads us to the next verse where it says if they don't listen, go with them and bring what? 2 or 3 witnesses with you. Now, in the church, it's you go to the elders, you go and you bring people with you. But in this sense, I'm going to go approach this person. They're not going to listen to me. I know they're not going to listen to me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Matt with me. And they're still not going to listen to me. So then I'm going to have to go higher up. I'm going to have to go to someone, the law, to the person over this situation. That's the right steps. It's not the right steps for me to go to all my neighbors and get all my neighbors to gang up on this one person. That's becoming a gossip. It's happening in my yard. It's happening on my property. So I need to be the one to take care of it, not get everybody else all riled up against this one neighbor. Okay, Romans 12:10. Love one another. Outdo one another in showing honor. If we're a gossiper, if we're a slanderer, if we're a busybody, we are not honoring one another. We are not showing love to one another. Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers. Again, back to my situation. I want it peaceful. I want it solved. I'm blessed are the peacemakers. Not blessed are the troublemakers. Which this could be a very easy thing to do. Philippians 4:18. Think on these things. That's the very end of the verse. Whatever is pure, whatever is holy. We know that verse. Think on these things. Think on it. When you want to be a foolish woman, think about what God wants you to be. God doesn't want you to be a gossiper. He doesn't want you to be a fool. He doesn't want you to be avoided. We are all to have the attitude of being welcoming, encouraging. And it kind of goes into the book we were doing. I kind of laughed about it a little bit because it says, which is 100% true, that this stuff happens in a church building amongst brothers and sisters in Christ. It happens. Yes, it happens. But how do we solve it? Are we peacemakers, or do we just let it boil up to where the whole church gets mad? And we know what happens. It causes splits. Well, then that split, then you still have problems because the people who are left aren't happy because some other ones have left. The ones who left aren't happy because what do? They take that baggage to another congregation. Well, why'd you leave? Well, this was going on and this was going on. We're not being peacemakers. We're being the whispering women, and we shouldn't be that way. There are 3 things that when we are a whispering woman, 3 things it affects. The first thing is it brings destruction. Proverbs 16:27 says the speech is a scorching fire. The speech of a whispering woman is scorching fire. Do not participate in this kind of talk. And more importantly, like we said from the beginning, don't let it begin with you. Don't be the start. Don't be the whispering woman that begins it all. It destroys. It destroys. And that goes into our third point. So I'm going to stop right there. The second point, it separates. Proverbs 17:9. He who repeats a matter separates even the closest of friends. And how true is that? How true is how many friendships have went by the wayside? How many friendships have been severed, have been severely hurt, are not as strong as they once were because of gossip and slander. It ruins a friendship. It's all fine and dandy when your little group agrees with you and, oh, we're all gossiping. Guess what this one did? Can you believe she did this? Oh, wow, she did this again. I saw her the other day here or that. It's all great until it's turned on you. Until that person does something to you and your group takes her side, not yours. And all that gossip that you two were together on, you're no longer together. I think you all know where I'm going. We've all been in this situation. We've all been on the end of something that's not true. We've all been on the end of gossip. And I guess this hits more home to me because I've always heard ever since I met Matt, be careful being a preacher's wife, because who's talked about the most? Who's talked about the most? Who's looked at the most? Who's criticized the most? Who is held to a higher standard by family, by friends, by people in the community? This has come true quite a bit the past year and a half in my personal life, in work life, in just in general, in community. Just how different of a standard preachers and preachers' wives are held. Don't believe me? Show up to Elizabeth's next ball game. They found out this year that Matt was a preacher, and the whole dynamic changed. The whole dynamic changed. To me, that's an eye-opener. So what is it? They're watching every move we make. And I'll be honest with you, I was so glad for softball season to be over. I was tired of being watched. I was tired of being criticized. My family of, oh, they did this or they did that, or they went to this place or they did that. It wears on you. It wears on you. And that's just my perspective. There's regular people. When I worked at the bank, gossip happens every day. Every day. I don't care what job you have, gossip happens. Gossip hurts. Gossip separates. So that's the second effect that it does. So how do we avoid gossip? How do we do this? Remember, we're not supposed to start it. We're not supposed to be the whispering woman who starts all this. We're supposed to be the Christian that puts a stop to it, that is the peacemaker, that has loving speech. So how do we avoid it? Because like we said, it's everywhere. It's in families. It's in churches. It's everywhere we go. We're surrounded by it. The first thing we got to do is leave it to God. And this is the hardest one for me. Romans 12:19 says, vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord. How many times is it hard when you are being criticized, when you're the one being gossiped about, whether it's true or not true? When you're the one being talked, how hard is it to sit there and hear it? How hard is it to sit there and take it and be the Christian you're supposed to be? But what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to leave it to God. What are we supposed to be? The peacemakers. We're still supposed to love them. We're still supposed to show love. We're still supposed to be the Christian we're supposed to be. We got to leave it to God. When we leave it to God, we have to believe that God will defend us, but He's going to do it in His time. It's not going to be that exact moment that you're in the heat of all this, that all this is crashing down on you. The worst of the worst, it's going to be later. It might be Judgment Day. It might be 3 years down the road when, a lot of people say karma is going to come back to bite you. It might be when that happens. You don't know. But God is on our side. We have to leave it to God. Do not take it into our own hands. The second thing, how do we avoid this? We have to have a faithful spirit. We have to believe. Proverbs 11:13. A faithful spirit conceals a matter. We keep our mouth shut. We're quiet. Now, I'm not saying if you're having a bad day, if someone's talking about you and you've got a best friend, you've got your go-to person, that you can't go to them. Absolutely go to them. But make sure it stops to them. Make sure that's not opening the door for that person to go tell this person, and then the next day at work, that person knows, and then all their coworkers know, and pretty much before you know it, the whole town knows. And that's what it feels like. It may not be that way, but that's what it feels like, is you tell one person, and then everybody knows about it. We have to have the faithful spirit. What does that mean? What is this person supposed to do? We're supposed to build up and encourage those around her. Trust me, it's hard. It's hard. I've been there. I've been in a situation where I had a coworker tell me that she wished I went back to Kentucky, that she didn't ask me to come to that certain state, and I could pack my bags and go home right then. And all this happened in front of all my coworkers, everybody. And I had to sit there that day and the next day for 4 years and see this woman and be nice to her. She was above me, do what she asked me to do it respectfully, do it honestly, and not hold that grudge. And it's hard. It's hard. We're all in that situation. I'm using me because I'm the best example. But all of you all have the same situation. No matter what job title you have or had, no matter what's going on, you've been in these situations. You've been in a situation where you just need to suck it up and not say anything. And it's hard. It's hard. The third thing to avoid gossip is seek love. Proverbs 17:9. One who covers a transgression seeks love. Seeks love. What does love do? We see it in 2 Corinthians. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things. Love never fails. The biggest thing is we still have to love. Don't have to like them. You know that saying, like sometimes I get really mad at my kids, and a lady told me this, and I think I've did this in another devotional before, but you don't have to like them, but you got to love them. And she's like, I love my daughter, but I don't like what she's doing. Same situation I think applies here. We don't have to like the gossiper. We don't have to associate with the gossiper. It's okay to dislike them, but we still have to show them love. We have the responsibility as Christians to show them the right way to be a Christian. And trust me, it works. It works. It's hard. In my case, there's tears involved. There's stress involved. There's a lot on you, but it works. They see you, and pretty much after a while, they're going to leave you alone. They're going to know that you're not worth their time. But it's very, very easy to fall in this trap of being this whispering woman. To someone saying stuff, bad things about you, and you go and you're telling somebody else, or you get in contact and oh well, she's done this and she's done this, but she's calling me out for this, but we saw her here and we saw her there, and we know she's not living the right life, and we know she's involved in things she shouldn't be involved in, but yet she has the audacity to say all these things about me. We can't be that person. We can't be that person. We have to be one who hates gossip, doesn't slander. We have to be the one that edifies our speech, edifies one another, even though it is hard. And that's where the whole Bambi saying comes in. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. That works too. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Because remember, the ultimate line, the whole point of this devotional for me is Romans 14:12, when I have to get up and give an account to God. When I've got to get up on Judgment Day and stand before Him, and He's reading all this to me and all my faults and all my good things. I do not want to be on that list of being the whispering woman, of being the gossiper, the slanderer, the meddling person. Don't be that person. That's today's devotional. Next week we are going to talk about the gracious woman, and this is in 2 parts. So we're going to look at Proverbs again and talk about the gracious woman. I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you all here next week.